The blue light from Lila's phone cut through our bedroom darkness like a knife. 3:17 a.m., and my wife was getting notifications. Again. I'm Nick Harper, 38 years old, freelance web designer who reads too much Stephen King and drinks too much coffee. I've got average looks, above-average stubbornness, and a basement workshop where I fix things that most people throw away. Blue-collar roots in a white-collar world, married to a woman who posts inspirational quotes about toxic masculinity while hiding secrets in her DMs. The irony wasn't lost on me. Lila shifted in her sleep, phone face down on the nightstand. The buzzing stopped, then started again. Someone really wanted her attention at 3 a.m. I stared at the ceiling, counting the cracks in the plaster that I'd been meaning to fix for 2 years. We lived in one of those semi-affluent New England suburbs where everyone drives Teslas and pretends to care about sustainability while ordering everything from Amazon. Our house was stylish but cold, like a magazine spread that nobody actually lives in. Lila's touch was everywhere. The minimalist furniture, the abstract art, the motivational quotes framed in the hallway. Live your truth. Boundaries are beautiful. Authenticity is everything. Yeah, right. I rolled over and tried to sleep, but my brain wouldn't shut up. It's funny how marriage changes you. 5 years ago, I wouldn't have thought twice about a late-night text. Now, every buzz felt like a small betrayal. Not because I didn't trust Lila. Well, maybe that was exactly why. The phone buzzed again. Screw it, I muttered, reaching for my laptop on the floor beside the bed. If I couldn't sleep, I might as well work. I opened Reddit, scrolling through the usual garbage, political rants, cat videos, relationship advice from people who'd never been in a relationship. Then I saw it. A post in Our Relationships with 2.3K upvotes and counting. The username was familiar. Lila Lives Authentic. My wife's handle. The title made my stomach drop. Men who check their girlfriends' phones are toxic and controlling. Ladies, this is a red flag you can't ignore. I clicked. I'm so tired of seeing women make excuses for partners who violate their privacy. Your phone is your space. Your conversations are your business. Any man who demands to see your messages is showing you exactly who he is. A controlling, insecure child who doesn't deserve your energy. Trust is the foundation of any healthy relationship, and if he can't trust you without surveillance, he's not ready for an adult partnership. Period. The comments were a chorus of agreement. Preach, queen. My ex did this, and it was just the beginning. Run, don't walk, away from these men. I stared at the screen, a cold anger spreading through my chest. Trust, huh? Foundation of a healthy relationship? I glanced at Lila, sleeping peacefully beside me, her phone still face down and buzzing. The devil and angel on my shoulders started their usual debate. The angel said, "She's right, Nick. Privacy matters. You're being paranoid." The devil said, 3 a.m. texts, secret phone calls, working late every night this week. Wake up, you idiot. I'd been having these conversations with myself for months. Little things that didn't add up. Lila coming home with new lingerie she never wore for me. Deleting her browser history, changing her passwords, starting fights over nothing, like she was looking for excuses to leave the house. But every time I brought up my concerns, she'd flip it around. You're being controlling, Nick. I need space to breathe. Why can't you trust me? She was good at making me feel like the problem. Her phone buzzed again. This time I didn't hesitate. I slipped out of bed, bare feet silent on the hardwood floor. Lila was a deep sleeper, always had been. I could vacuum the bedroom, and she wouldn't wake up. I picked up her phone, thumb hovering over the screen. The lock screen showed 3 missed messages from C with a fire emoji. No preview text. She'd disabled that months ago, claiming it was for professional privacy. Right. I knew her passcode. She'd never changed it from our anniversary date, which was either romantic or lazy. Probably lazy. The phone unlocked. The messages were from someone named Caleb Frost. The name hit me like a punch to the gut. Lila's ex-boyfriend from college. The one who'd moved to California for work 3 years ago. Apparently, he was back in town. Can't stop thinking about this afternoon. You felt so good. When can we do this again? I need you. Delete these after you read them. Don't want your husband getting suspicious. My hands started shaking. I scrolled up, reading weeks of messages, explicit photos, planning secret meetings, talking about me like I was some obstacle to work around. Nick's been weird lately. I think he suspects something. Just keep playing the loving wife. We'll figure out the rest later. I can't wait to be done with this charade. I screenshotted everything, my fingers moving on autopilot. The betrayal was so complete, so casual, that it felt surreal, like reading someone else's life. There was a hidden folder in her Photos app labeled Work Stuff. It wasn't work stuff. It was pictures of her and Caleb, in hotel rooms, in his car, in places I didn't recognize, dozens of them, going back months. I kept screenshotting, methodical and quiet. Evidence. That's what this was now. Evidence of the end of my marriage. Lila stirred beside me, and I froze. She mumbled something in her sleep, rolled over, and went still again. I finished copying the messages and put her phone back exactly where I'd found it. Back in bed, I stared at the ceiling with my heart hammering against my ribs. My wife of 8 years was cheating on me with her ex-boyfriend, the same wife who'd just posted about toxic men who check phones. The hypocrisy was breathtaking. I must have dozed off, because the next thing I knew, sunlight was streaming through the windows, and Lila was in the shower. I could hear her singing, actually singing, like she didn't have a care in the world. When she came out, wrapped in a towel with her hair in a messy bun, she looked beautiful, radiant even. Guilt should have shown on her face, but she just smiled and kissed my forehead. "Morning, babe. Sleep okay?" "Like a baby," I lied. She moved around the bedroom getting dressed, and I watched her with new eyes. Every gesture felt calculated now. The way she kept her phone face down, the way she angled away from me when typing, the way she'd started wearing perfume to work meetings. "I might be late tonight," she said, applying lipstick in the mirror. "We're pitching a new client." "Which client?" A pause, just a beat too long. "A fitness company, very health-focused, could be big for us." "Fitness company." Right. I'd bet money that Caleb was involved somehow. From what I'd seen in the messages, he was calling himself a fitness influencer now. Apparently, that was a real job. "Sounds important," I said. "It is. This could change everything for me." She wasn't wrong about that. Lila finished getting ready and headed downstairs. I heard her making coffee, the same routine we'd shared for years. Normal domestic sounds that felt like lies now. I got dressed and joined her in the kitchen. She was scrolling through her phone, probably checking to see if her Reddit post had gained more traction overnight. The post about toxic men who check phones. "Your post is really taking off," I said casually. She looked up, surprised. "You saw that?" "Hard to miss. It's all over my feed." I poured coffee, keeping my voice neutral. "Interesting perspective." "You don't sound convinced." "No, I think you're absolutely right. Men who check their partner's phones are toxic. It shows a complete lack of trust and respect." She studied my face, looking for sarcasm or anger. I kept my expression blank. "I'm glad you understand," she said finally. "Some men get really defensive about this stuff. Not me. Privacy is sacred in a relationship. Everyone deserves their own space." She smiled, the tension leaving her shoulders. "Exactly. I knew you'd get it." I handed her phone back. She'd left it on the counter while making coffee. Our fingers brushed as she took it. "You're right," I said, looking her straight in the eye. "Trust is everything." She kissed me goodbye and left for work, taking her secrets with her. I stood in the kitchen, drinking my coffee and thinking. Lila was right about one thing. Trust was the foundation of a relationship. And now that I knew exactly who she was, I could start planning accordingly. The devil on my shoulder was grinning. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. My basement workshop smelled like sawdust and WD-40, with undertones of the coffee I'd spilled on my workbench 3 months ago. It was the only space in our house that felt like mine, cluttered, functional, honest. Power tools hung on pegboard walls, half-finished projects covered every surface, and my old laptop sat in the corner like a faithful dog. That laptop was about to become my best friend. I'd spent the morning pretending to work on client websites while actually researching phone cloning software. Turns out it's easier than you'd think if you know what you're looking for. A simple USB backup could mirror everything: messages, photos, location data, the works. All I needed was 5 minutes alone with Lila's phone. The irony wasn't lost on me. I made my living building websites, understanding digital privacy and security. Now I was using those same skills to spy on my wife. But after reading those messages, I needed to know the full scope of what I was dealing with. My neighbor Ollie knocked on the basement door around noon. Oliver Brennan was my oldest friend in town, a straight shooter who worked nights at the old paper mill and had opinions about everything. He was built like a linebacker going soft around the middle, with calloused hands and a bullshit detector that never failed. "You look like hell," he said, helping himself to a beer from my workshop fridge. "Thanks. You always know just what to say." "I'm serious. What's eating you?" I considered lying, but Ollie had known me for 10 years. He'd see right through it. "Lila's cheating on me." He stopped mid-sip. "You sure?" "Caught her red-handed. Well, red-texted. Messages, photos, the whole 9 yards. Jesus, Nick, I'm sorry." "Don't be. I'm past sorry. Now I'm in the planning phase." Ollie raised an eyebrow. "Planning phase? You remember what you told me when Danny Morrison screwed you over on that roofing job?" "Yeah. I said sometimes you gotta get your hands dirty to get what's owed to you." "Exactly." I showed him the screenshots on my phone. Ollie read in silence, his expression getting darker with each message. "This Caleb guy sounds like a real piece of work," he said finally. "Fitness influencer. Apparently, that's a thing now. And Lila's buying into this garbage? Hook, line, and sinker. They're planning to meet at some lakeside estate tonight. Another work meeting." Ollie finished his beer and crushed the can. "So what's the plan?" "First, I need more evidence. Then I need to figure out who else is involved. Lila's not smart enough to pull this off alone. She's got help." "Her friend Jade?" I nodded. Jade Martinez was Lila's best friend and partner in crime, an aspiring influencer who treated life like a reality show. She was always ready with a camera and a cover story, the kind of person who'd lie about the weather if it got her more followers. Jade's been posting all these photos of their girls' nights and work dinners, convenient alibis. You think she knows? I think she's orchestrating it. Jade loves drama, especially when she's not the one getting hurt. Ollie stood up, pacing around my cluttered workshop. "You know what this reminds me of? That King novel you made me read. The one where the guy's wife is living in some fantasy world while he's stuck dealing with reality. Lisey's story. That's the one. Except in this version, Lisey's a cheating narcissist and Scott's about to lose his mind." I laughed despite myself. "Thanks for the pep talk. Hey, I'm just saying, you're not the crazy one here. Don't let them make you think you are." After Ollie left, I got to work. The phone cloning software was surprisingly user-friendly, designed for parents monitoring their kids or employers tracking company devices. I tested it on my old phone first, making sure I understood the process. The hard part would be getting access to Lila's phone long enough to run the backup. She was paranoid about letting it out of her sight, but everyone had patterns, habits, weaknesses, Lila always showered when she got home from work, a 20-minute ritual that involved expensive products and playlist music. Her phone would be charging on the nightstand, unguarded. I had until 6 o'clock to prepare. The afternoon crawled by. I tried to focus on actual work, but my mind kept wandering to the messages I'd seen, the casual cruelty of it, the way they talked about me like I was some obstacle to overcome rather than a human being they were destroying. Nick's been weird lately. I think he suspects something. Of course I'd been weird. My wife was having an affair and gaslighting me about it. Any reasonable person would be weird. At 5:30, I heard Lila's car in the driveway. I closed the laptop and went upstairs, trying to look like a normal husband greeting his wife after a normal day. "Hey, babe," she called from the kitchen. "How was your day?" "Productive. Finished the Morrison website. How was the pitch?" Another pause. She was getting sloppy with her lies. "Really well, actually. I think we nailed it. The client was very receptive to our ideas." "I'll bet he was." "That's great. You must be relieved." "Definitely. I'm going to shower and then maybe we can order takeout. I'm too tired to cook." "Sounds perfect." She headed upstairs and I heard the bathroom door close, water running, music starting, some indie playlist she'd discovered on Spotify. I gave her 5 minutes to get settled, then crept upstairs. Her phone was exactly where I expected it, plugged into the charger on her nightstand. The backup process took 3 minutes, the longest 3 minutes of my life. Every creak of the house made me jump, every pause in her singing made me freeze. But it worked. When the process finished, I had a complete mirror of her phone on my laptop. Every message, every photo, every app, every location ping. Her entire digital life laid bare. I put her phone back and retreated to the basement. What I found was worse than I'd imagined. The affair had been going on for 4 months, starting when Caleb moved back to town. But it wasn't just sex. They were planning a future together, talking about me like I was already gone. Once I figure out how to handle the divorce, we can be together properly. I can't wait to be done with this suburban housewife act. It's so boring. Nick won't fight it. He's too weak. He'll just roll over and let me take whatever I want. There were financial documents too, screenshots of our bank accounts, retirement funds, investment portfolios. She'd been planning to clean me out, but the worst part was the other conversations. Group chats with Jade and other friends, all of them in on the joke, making fun of me, sharing strategies for covering their tracks. Nick asked about my work meeting tonight. I told him it was a fitness client. He bought it completely. Men are so gullible when you tell them what they want to hear. Just keep playing the loving wife for a few more weeks. Then you can dump him and take half of everything. I sat in my basement, reading through months of betrayal, and felt something cold and hard settle in my chest. This wasn't just an affair. It was a conspiracy, a coordinated campaign to destroy my life while making me think I was the problem. Well, two could play that game. I started with Lila's location history. The work meetings had been at the Lakeside Estate, a fancy hotel and conference center about 30 minutes outside town. But there were other locations too. Caleb's apartment, various restaurants, even our own house when I was out of town on business. They'd been screwing in my bed. My phone buzzed, a text from Lila. "Ordering Thai food. The usual?" "Sounds great," I texted back. "Love you." "Love you too." The lies came so easily to both of us now. I spent the evening playing the part of the oblivious husband. We ate takeout on the couch, watched Netflix, made small talk about our days. Lila was relaxed, affectionate even. She curled up against me during the movie, and I stroked her hair while planning her destruction. "I'm thinking about taking a girls' trip next weekend," she said during a commercial break. "Jade found this great spa in Vermont." "That sounds nice. You've been working so hard lately." "Thanks for understanding. I know I haven't been very present lately." If only she knew how present I was about to become. After she fell asleep, I went back to the basement and kept digging. The group chat with her friends was a goldmine of information. They'd been planning this for months, treating my marriage like a game show where the prize was my life savings. But they'd made one crucial mistake. They'd documented everything, every lie, every scheme, every cruel joke at my expense. They thought they were untouchable, protected by their little bubble of mutual support. They were about to learn otherwise. I opened a new document on my laptop and started taking notes. Names, dates, locations, evidence. If they wanted to play games, I'd show them what a real game looked like. The angel on my shoulder had gone quiet. Only the devil remained, and he was grinning like a maniac. The Riverside Bistro was one of those trendy places where the portions are small, the prices are high, and everyone pretends the food is life-changing. Exposed brick walls, Edison bulb lighting, and a clientele that looked like they'd stepped out of a lifestyle magazine. It was exactly the kind of place Lila would choose for her fake work dinner. I sat in my car across the street, watching the entrance through a telephoto lens I'd borrowed from my photographer buddy Mike. At 7:15, Lila arrived in her silver Audi, looking stunning in a black dress I'd never seen before. She checked her makeup in the rearview mirror before getting out. At 7:20, Jade pulled up in her red BMW convertible. She was dressed to kill, tight dress, perfect hair, phone already out and recording what would undoubtedly become an Instagram story about their amazing girls' night. At 7:25, Caleb arrived. He drove a white Tesla Model S because of course he did. Everything about him screamed, "Look at me." The designer clothes, the perfect hair, the way he strutted into the restaurant like he owned the place. He was handsome in that generic fitness influencer way, all jawline and abs and empty charisma. I waited 5 minutes, then followed them inside. The hostess tried to seat me near the back, but I requested a table with a view of the dining room. "I'm meeting someone," I lied. "I want to make sure I don't miss them." From my vantage point, I could see their table clearly. Lila and Caleb sat across from each other, while Jade positioned herself with her back to the wall, perfect for surveillance and photos. They looked like they were having the time of their lives. I ordered a beer and watched the show. Caleb dominated the conversation, gesturing wildly, while Lila hung on every word. Under the table, I could see her foot rubbing against his leg. Jade was busy documenting everything, but only the parts that supported their cover story. Photos of her and Lila laughing, captions about catching up with my bestie. The lies were so casual, so practiced. These people were professionals. I pulled out my phone and started recording. The video quality wasn't great from this distance, but it was good enough to capture the intimacy between Lila and Caleb. The way she leaned into him, the way he touched her hand, the moment when she slid her hand under the table and into his lap. That's when I made my move. I stood up, beer in hand, and walked over to their table. "Lila? Oh my God, what a coincidence." All three of them froze. Lila's face went white, then red, then white again. Caleb tried to look casual but failed miserably. Only Jade kept her composure, immediately switching into damage control mode. "Nick, what are you doing here?" "Just grabbing dinner. You know how it is. Bachelor life while my wife's at her important work meeting." I looked directly at Lila. "How's the fitness client pitch going, honey?" This is Caleb Frost. He's the client I was telling you about." Caleb extended his hand. "Nice to meet you, Nick. Lila's told me so much about you." I shook his hand, squeezing just a little too hard. "Funny, she's never mentioned you at all." The silence stretched uncomfortably. Jade jumped in with her practiced cheerfulness. "We were just wrapping up the business stuff. Now it's girls' night." She held up her phone. "Want me to take a photo of you and Lila?" "That's okay. I don't want to interrupt your work." I emphasized the last word just enough to make everyone squirm. "Caleb, what kind of fitness do you focus on? Personal training? Gym management?" "I'm more of an influencer, actually. Social media marketing, brand partnerships, that sort of thing." Ah, an influencer. How modern. I took a sip of my beer. And you need an ad agency for that? Another pause. Caleb was sweating now, tiny beads forming at his hairline. It's about expanding into traditional marketing, Lila said quickly. Print ads, radio spots, broader demographic reach. Makes sense. Well, I'll let you get back to it. I kissed Lila's forehead, noting how she flinched at my touch. Don't stay out too late, babe. You've been working so hard lately. I walked away without looking back, but I could feel their eyes on me. At my table, I left cash for the beer and headed for the exit. As I passed their table, I heard Jade whisper urgently, "How much do you think he heard?" Outside, I sat in my car and watched through the restaurant windows. They were having an animated discussion, all three heads huddled together. Caleb kept running his hands through his hair. Lila looked like she might throw up. Jade was typing frantically on her phone. After 10 minutes, they called for the check. The evening was officially ruined. I followed them outside, staying in the shadows of the parking lot. Caleb and Lila stood by his Tesla, talking in hushed, urgent tones. Even from a distance, I could read their body language: fear, anger, blame. The perfect team was falling apart. Jade approached them, still playing peacemaker, but Caleb brushed her off. He got in his car and drove away without saying goodbye. Lila stood there for a moment, looking lost, before Jade guided her to the BMW. I waited until they were gone, then drove home. Lila arrived 20 minutes later, her key turning in the lock with unusual force. I was on the couch, laptop open, pretending to work on a client project. "Hey babe, how was dinner?" She studied my face, looking for signs of suspicion or anger. I kept my expression neutral. "Fine, good, productive." She sat down next to me, closer than usual. "How was your evening?" "Boring. Worked on the Peterson website, ordered pizza, watched some Netflix, living the dream." "I'm sorry I've been so busy lately. This project is just really important for my career." "I understand. Success requires sacrifice." She relaxed slightly, interpreting my words as support rather than the threat they actually were. "I love you, Nick. I love you too." We went to bed like a normal couple, but I could feel the tension radiating from her body. She lay awake for a long time, staring at the ceiling, probably wondering how much I knew and what I was planning to do about it. If only she knew. The next morning, I put Phase 2 into motion. Mrs. Eleanor Travers, Lila's mother, was a formidable woman who'd built her identity around social status and family reputation. She lived in a sprawling colonial in the wealthy part of town, served on charity boards, and had opinions about everything. She'd never particularly liked me. I was too blue-collar for her daughter. But she respected marriage as an institution. More importantly, she hated scandal. I crafted my message carefully, attaching select screenshots that told the story without being too explicit. The subject line read, "Concerning Lila's recent behavior." "Mrs. Travers, I hope this message finds you well. I'm writing because I'm concerned about some changes in Lila's behavior lately, and I thought you should be aware of the situation. I've discovered that she's been having an inappropriate relationship with an old boyfriend, and I'm not sure how to proceed. I've attached some evidence that I found on her phone. I know this is difficult information, but I felt you had a right to know what's happening with your daughter. Please let me know if you'd like to discuss this further. Respectfully, Nick." I hit send before I could second-guess myself. The response came within an hour. "Nicholas, I am shocked and appalled by what you've shown me. This behavior is completely unacceptable and reflects poorly on our entire family. I will be speaking with Lila immediately. Thank you for bringing this to my attention, despite how difficult it must have been for you. We will discuss how to handle this situation properly. Eleanor." Phase 3 involved Caleb's professional life. As a fitness influencer, his income depended on brand partnerships and sponsorship deals. Companies paid him to promote their products to his followers, but they were notoriously skittish about scandal. A few anonymous tips to his major sponsors, complete with evidence of his affair with a married woman, would hit him where it hurt most, his wallet. I created a fake email account and started reaching out to the supplement companies, athletic wear brands, and fitness apps that featured him in their marketing. The message was simple. Are you aware that your spokesperson, Caleb Frost, is currently having an affair with a married woman? I've attached photographic evidence. You may want to reconsider your association with him before this becomes public knowledge. Within hours, his Instagram posts started disappearing. Sponsored content vanished. His bio changed from brand ambassador for XYZ supplements to just fitness enthusiast. But I wasn't done with Jade. She was the architect of this whole scheme, the one who'd helped Lila plan and execute her betrayal. She deserved special attention. Jade was engaged to a guy named Marcus, a software engineer who worked remotely and trusted her completely. Too completely, as it turned out. A little digging through her social media revealed that she'd been cheating on him too, not with one person, but with several. Screenshots from dating apps, photos from work trips that were actually romantic getaways, messages to other women's husbands. Jade was a serial homewrecker, and Marcus had no idea. I compiled everything into a neat package and sent it to Marcus with a simple note. I thought you should know who you're planning to marry. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but you deserve the truth. By noon, Jade's engagement photos had disappeared from her Instagram. By evening, Marcus had changed his relationship status to single. The dominoes were falling exactly as planned. Lila came home that night looking like she'd been hit by a truck. Her phone had been ringing all day. Her mother, her friends, probably Caleb and Jade dealing with their own crises. The perfect little conspiracy was crumbling, and she had no idea why. Rough day? I asked innocently. My mother wants to have lunch tomorrow. She sounded upset about something. I'm sure it's nothing serious. Your mom always sounds upset. And Jade's having some kind of crisis with Marcus. She won't tell me what happened. Relationship drama. It'll blow over. She looked at me suspiciously, like she was trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces. Nick, at the restaurant last night, did I what? Nothing, never mind. But I could see the wheels turning in her head, the paranoia setting in, the growing realization that her carefully constructed lies were falling apart, and she couldn't figure out how or why. Welcome to my world, Lila. The angel on my shoulder had been quiet for days. Only the devil remained, and he was having the time of his life. The Riverside paper mill had been abandoned for 3 years, ever since the company moved operations to Vietnam. It sat on the edge of town like a rusty monument to better times, all broken windows and peeling paint. The perfect place for a private conversation. I'd been planning this confrontation for days, ever since Lila's world started falling apart. Her lunch with her mother had gone about as well as expected. 2 hours of screaming that ended with Mrs. Travers threatening to cut Lila out of her will unless she fixed this mess immediately. Jade was radio silent, dealing with her own relationship implosion. And Caleb had lost 3 more sponsorship deals, his influencer empire crumbling in real time. But they still didn't know I was behind it all. That was about to change. I'd sent Caleb a message from a burner phone, claiming to be a private investigator hired by concerned parties who wanted to discuss his situation with Lila Harper. The meeting was set for 9 p.m. at the old mill. Dramatic, sure, but sometimes you had to lean into the theater of it all. Ollie was already in position when I arrived, hidden in the shadows near the main entrance. We'd rigged the place with battery-powered speakers and LED lights, turning the abandoned factory into a stage for the final act. You sure about this? He asked over our walkie-talkies. Never been more sure of anything in my life. Caleb arrived first, driving his Tesla through the broken gate like he was conquering new territory. He parked near the main building and got out, looking around nervously. Even in the dim light, I could see he was dressed for intimidation. Black leather jacket, designer jeans, the kind of outfit that said, "I'm dangerous" to people who'd never met anyone actually dangerous. Lila showed up 5 minutes later in her Audi, parking next to the Tesla. She'd been easier to lure, a simple text claiming that Caleb needed to see her urgently, that someone was threatening to expose their relationship. She practically ran to the meeting. They stood together in the empty parking lot, two beautiful people who thought they were untouchable. From my hiding spot in the old foreman's office, I watched them through night vision binoculars. "This is insane," Lila was saying. "Who could possibly know about us?" "Someone's been systematically destroying my business," Caleb replied. "All my sponsors dropped me in the same week. That doesn't happen by accident." "You think it's Nick? Your husband? Please. Guy can barely order pizza without stuttering. This is professional." I smiled in the darkness. "Keep underestimating me, you beautiful idiots." They moved toward the main building, following the path I'd lit with small LED markers. The heavy doors groaned open, revealing the cavernous factory floor. Dust motes danced in the beams of strategically placed lights, and our hidden speakers played the ambient sounds of machinery, subtle, but enough to set the mood. "Hello, Lila. Caleb." I stepped out of the shadows, and they both jumped like startled deer. In the dramatic lighting, wearing dark clothes and carrying a tablet full of evidence, I probably looked more intimidating than usual. "Nick?" Lila's voice cracked. "What are you doing here?" "Having a conversation. Long overdue, don't you think?" Caleb stepped forward, puffing out his chest. "Look, man, I don't know what you think you know, but I know everything." I held up the tablet, showing them screenshots of their messages. 4 months of planning, 4 months of lies, 4 months of screwing in my bed while I was out of town. Lila went pale. "Nick, I can explain." "Can you? Because I'd love to hear the explanation for this." I swiped to a photo of them together at a hotel. Or this. Another photo, more explicit. Or my personal favorite, the group chat where you and your friends make fun of me for being too weak to fight back. The color drained from both their faces. They'd been so careful, so sure they were covering their tracks. The realization that I had everything, every message, every photo, every cruel joke, hit them like a physical blow. "How did you—" Caleb started. "Get your messages, your photos, your location data? I'm a web designer, genius. I know how phones work." Lila found her voice. "This is illegal. You can't just spy on people." "Actually, I can. It's my phone plan, my house, my marriage. Funny how that works." She tried a different approach, switching to the manipulation tactics that had worked so well before. "Nick, baby, I know this looks bad, but it's not what you think. I was confused, lonely." "Save it." I cut her off. "I've heard this performance already. In your messages to Jade, you practiced different versions of this speech. The "I was lonely" version, the "it meant nothing" version, the "you drove me to it" version. Which one were you planning to use tonight?" Caleb stepped between us, apparently deciding to play the alpha male card. "Okay, you caught us. Congratulations. But what are you gonna do about it? Beat me up? Call the cops?" "Face it, man. She chose me. Deal with it." I laughed, a sound that echoed strangely in the empty factory. "Beat you up? Caleb, I don't need to touch you. I've already destroyed you." "What are you talking about?" "Your sponsors, your brand deals, your entire influencer career. That was me." His face went from confused to horrified. "You? Anonymous tips to every company you work with. Amazing how fast they drop you when they see photos of you screwing a married woman. You son of a bitch." He lunged at me, but I was ready. The old factory had plenty of machinery to work with, conveyor belts, overhead cranes, industrial switches that controlled lights and sounds. I hit a button on my phone and the building came alive. Lights flashed, speakers boomed with the sound of grinding metal, steam hissed from hidden vents. In the chaos and noise, Caleb stumbled, disoriented, while I moved through the space I'd spent hours preparing. "You want to know what's going to happen next?" I shouted over the industrial symphony. "Your career is over, your reputation is destroyed, and everyone in this town knows exactly what kind of person you are." I grabbed his phone from his pocket during the confusion, smashing it against a concrete pillar. The screen shattered, taking his connection to his digital empire with it. "My phone! You psycho!" "Psycho? I'm not the one who seduced a married woman and bragged about it online." Lila was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks. "Nick, please, we can work this out. We can go to counseling, start over." "Start over?" I turned to her, letting all my anger show. "You mean like when you told Caleb you couldn't wait to be done with this suburban housewife act? Or when you planned to take half of everything I've worked for?" "I never said that." I played the audio recording from my tablet. Her own voice filled the factory. "Nick won't fight it. He's too weak. He'll just roll over and let me take whatever I want." She crumpled, all the fight going out of her. "Oh, God." "Your mother knows everything," I continued. "Your friends know everything. By tomorrow morning, everyone in this town will know exactly who you are." Caleb tried one more time to assert dominance. "You think you're so smart? You think this is over? I'll sue you for harassment, for stalking, for what? Exposing your affair? Good luck with that." I pulled out a manila folder. "Especially when the police see these financial records." "What financial records?" "The ones showing how you've been scamming your followers. Fake supplement sales, fraudulent investment schemes, tax evasion. Amazing what people confess when they think they're in private." It was a bluff. I didn't have evidence of financial crimes. But Caleb's reaction told me I'd hit close to home. His face went white, and he started backing toward the exit. "You're insane. Both of you deserve each other." He ran for his car, leaving Lila alone with me in the empty factory. We stood there in the flickering lights, 8 years of marriage reduced to this moment. She looked small and broken, nothing like the confident woman who'd posted about toxic masculinity while planning my destruction. "I loved you," she whispered. "No, you didn't. You loved what I could give you, the house, the lifestyle, the stability, but you never loved me." "That's not true." "Then why?" My voice cracked despite my best efforts. "Why throw it all away for him?" She was quiet for a long moment. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely audible over the ambient factory sounds. "Because I could. Because it was exciting. Because I wanted to feel alive again." The honesty was almost worse than the lies. "Well, congratulations. You're about to feel very alive. Unemployed, divorced, and disowned, but alive." I turned to leave, but she grabbed my arm. "Nick, wait. We can fix this. I'll end it with Caleb, cut off contact with Jade, do whatever you want. Just don't destroy everything we built together." I looked down at her hand on my arm, remembering all the times she'd touched me with love instead of desperation. "You already destroyed it, Lila. I'm just cleaning up the mess." I walked away, leaving her crying in the abandoned factory. Outside, Ollie was waiting by my truck. "How'd it go?" "Better than expected. They're both broken." "Good. What's next?" "The grand finale." As we drove away, I could see Lila through the factory windows, still standing in the flickering lights like a ghost of our marriage. Tomorrow, the whole town would know what she'd done. Her job, her reputation, her family relationships, all of it would be gone. The angel on my shoulder had one last thing to say. "You've become everything you used to hate." The devil laughed. "And it feels fantastic." The Riverside Fall Festival was the social event of the season, a quaint New England tradition where the whole town gathered to celebrate autumn with apple cider, pumpkin displays, and enough gossip to fuel the winter months. Local businesses set up booths, families brought their kids for face painting, and everyone pretended to care about community spirit while secretly judging their neighbors. It was the perfect venue for a public execution. I exposed Lila at the town festival by finding a phone and broadcasting her damning messages on the PA. Explicit photos, mocking texts, and plans for our divorce went up on the big screen. The crowd turned, her mother dragged her off in disgrace, and Lila's job, marriage, and reputation collapsed while everyone watched. I walked away satisfied, already planning the divorce and the next chapter. Sometimes, the toxic one wins. The end. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next story. Write in the comments from which city you are watching,